Why are some Catholics able to talk about their faith so openly and easily, while most of us are scared to discuss God or religion? Some Catholics seem to be full of excitement and full of zeal, eager to discuss God with anyone and everyone, but most of us are timid and afraid. We're worried we'll say the wrong thing in the wrong way at the wrong time. Why are some Catholics so articulate about the most difficult issues while most of us feel tongue-tied and we mostly try to avoid them? Some Catholics seem smooth and cool under pressure even when they're talking about hot-button topics. They clearly understand what they believe and they know how to articulate it. However, most of us just bumble over our words, and afterward we think, I shouldn't have said that, or I wish I would have explained it this way instead of that way. This is something all of us have experienced. Hi, my name is Brandon Vogt. I'm the author of several best-selling books, and I'm the content director for Bishop Robert Barron's Word on Fire Catholic Ministries. Welcome to this brand new video series titled Confident Catholic. I'm so glad you're here. Now, in this first video, you are going to discover exactly why you feel so awkward when discussing your faith. This is going to immediately help you identify what's holding you back. You'll start noticing the patterns, and then you'll also learn how to fix them. It doesn't matter whether you're a longtime Catholic who still has trouble sharing your faith, or if you're a new Catholic just trying to get up to speed and learn the basics. Either way, stay with me because you're going to discover how every Catholic, even you and even me, can feel confident about discussing your faith. And you'll also learn why it's critical that you gain that confidence now. So, the goal of this video series is simple. I want to help you become a confident Catholic. I'm going to show you how to handle yourself in difficult situations and answer popular objections so you'll know exactly what to say and how to respond. The more confidence that you have, the freer you'll feel. You'll no longer be afraid, you'll no longer be worried, and you'll no longer be stumbling over your words. Anytime your faith comes up in conversation, even when it pertains to really hard moral or theological questions, you'll no longer avoid it. You'll light up with excitement because you'll know what to say. So, are you ready to make this happen? Are you ready to dive in? Before we do, I want to warn you about one thing that's critically important. And not paying attention to this will virtually guarantee that you'll get frustrated at some point along this process. You might think that becoming a confident Catholic is mainly about knowing more facts, about shoving more information into your brain. But that isn't true. You can know more Catholic facts than the Pope, yet still be nervous when discussing them. You also might think that becoming a confident Catholic is about becoming a smooth talker. But that isn't true either. Even if you're eloquent, you still need to have substance behind your words. So it's not just one or the other. We need both of these elements together. I'm sure you'll agree that trying to discuss your faith isn't always as simple as people make it seem. It comes with its challenges. There are so many factors to worry about, such as what to say, when to say it, and what words to use. There are tons of considerations from the people you're talking with to the social dynamics around you. That's why in this video series, I'm going to demystify the process of becoming a confident Catholic, which is going to save you a lot of time and a lot of frustration. Now, I developed this framework because I saw so many Catholics who wanted to be calm and confident, who wished that they could be effective sharing their faith, but they were mostly getting completely sidetracked. For example, I saw Catholics who went to Mass every single Sunday, who prayed often, who enjoyed reading great Catholic books and perusing Catholic websites, but then they still became tense and nervous when it became time to discuss their convictions with others, especially people who would disagree with them. Despite their strong devotion, they still didn't know how to articulate their faith well. And then I saw Catholics who did understand those issues, but they still struggled because they were saying the right things, but in all the wrong ways. They came across as too brash and too aggressive, and so nobody cared about the true things that they were saying. Now, I could go on, and I'm sure you've encountered these things yourself, but what I found out was that people needed one thing. They needed clarity. Because in full transparency, that was my story too. Before I go into the main advice here, you might be wondering how I got into all of this and how I figured it out. Well, let me tell you so that you can understand where I'm coming from. I was not raised Catholic. I was born and raised in a Presbyterian church. I went to church there every Sunday for the first 20 years of my life, and I didn't become Catholic until my senior year in college. I remember those early days as a Catholic. Although I had read lots of books and learned from many people throughout the process of my conversion, I was still a pretty new and nervous Catholic after Easter. Inevitably, whenever people found out that I converted to Catholicism, they would gently push back by saying things like, "Oh, that's interesting. How do you deal with all that Catholic guilt?" Or they might say something like, "Really? You became Catholic? What about the sexual abuse scandal, or the way the Catholic Church oppresses gay people, or how the Catholic Church doesn't let people use contraception?" To be honest, I had no idea how to respond in situations like that. So I reacted like most of us do. I kind of smiled and I laughed off the comments, and I just hoped they wouldn't press the issue any further. And it was the best I could do at the time. But over the following years, I began studying effective Catholic leaders and evangelists. I wanted to know, what makes them so confident? Why can they so easily share their faith while the rest of us mostly struggle when it comes to these difficult topics and questions? And you know what I found? I learned that it all comes down to one thing: clarity. Once you have clarity about your beliefs, then you're able to share them easily with others. And it's only when you express yourself clearly that you are able to bring clarity to a confused culture. Now, we all want to be confident Catholics, but where does confidence come from? It comes from clarity. Clarity breeds confidence. I'll say that again because it might be the most important line in this whole video, and I want you to remember it. Clarity breeds confidence. Now, that was a relatively new idea to me. At first, when I became a Catholic, I thought, well, if I just love God enough, then I'll be fine. I'll be able to discuss my faith with anyone. But it almost never worked. It was almost always a failed project. And the problem was my faith wasn't clear. It was muddled. I knew what to believe as a Catholic, but I didn't have clarity about why I believed those things. I also originally thought that clarity was a gift that only a few people were born with. Some people were just clear thinkers by nature, but the rest of us have to trudge through life with mixed and muddied ideas. Yet after studying great Catholic evangelists, I learned that's not true. It's possible to get clear about any moral or religious topic, and it's possible to clearly articulate it even if you don't think you're a good speaker or conversationalist. Finally, my other big mistake was thinking that knowing your faith just meant reading a lot of books, a lot of articles, and a lot of blog posts, and accumulating as many facts as possible. But that's not the case either. In fact, I discovered that sometimes learning too many facts about a topic can actually confuse the issue for you. To be clear and confident, you don't need to know all the facts about a topic, such as atheism or same-sex marriage. You just need to know the right facts clearly and know how to clearly express them. Now, don't get me wrong, it took me a long time to learn all of this. It didn't happen overnight. But once I got past those confused ideas and objections, this idea of clarity totally changed my life as a Catholic. I went from being an awkward, nervous, tongue-tied Catholic to a confident Catholic, someone who is excited about his faith and delights in discussing it with others. In fact, I've never felt more happy as a Catholic than I do right now. This discovery that it's possible to become a confident Catholic, no matter your skills, no matter your knowledge, was a total game changer for me. But this story doesn't stop with me. Everything I'm about to share with you is the exact plan that I followed to get clear about my faith and become a confident Catholic. And it's the plan that led me to experience joy and freedom, never being worried that someone will challenge what I believe and I'll have no idea what to say. And that's what I want for you. You want to stop feeling nervous. You want to stop feeling afraid and embarrassed anytime your faith or hard topics come up in conversation. And that's why I want to make things easy for you. I've spent years studying Catholic evangelization, which simply means sharing the good news of Jesus with others. And you know what I've found? I discovered that most Catholics don't like to evangelize. That might be a surprise to you. They don't like to openly discuss their faith, and they sure don't like discussing hard topics like atheism or the Bible or abortion or same-sex marriage. Why? Well, there are generally three main reasons why we're terrified to discuss our faith. See how many of these reasons apply to you. The first reason people don't like to talk about their faith is because they're afraid they'll upset a relationship. We're worried that faith is a touchy topic, and so we don't want to rub people the wrong way. We don't want to create friction with spouses or children, relatives, or friends. And we definitely don't chat about our faith with our coworkers because religion should probably be off limits in the office, right? At least that's what we think. Now, does any of that sound familiar? Most of us feel this to one degree or another. We're worried that if we're openly Catholic, we might damage our relationships. And so, as a result, we tend to just stay quiet, just like I did whenever I was a new Catholic. The second big reason that people don't like to discuss their faith is because they feel pressured by the culture. We sense this almost every day. In fact, it seems to be growing. Clearly, the culture is not in favor of Catholicism. If you doubt that, just go visit any mainstream news article about the Catholic Church, scroll down, and read the comments. Our faith puts us out of step with the culture on nearly every contentious issue. And increasingly, we're encouraged to therefore just be quiet. Faith, we're told, should be private and personal. Anytime we do speak up, we risk being called a bigot or a hater or an extremist or just plain crazy. Naturally, we want to avoid those labels, so we often choose to stay silent. But the pressure's building. I talk to Catholics all the time who tell me they feel worried, they feel squeezed in, they feel pressured from all around. Which brings us to the third and final reason people are scared to talk about their faith. We're not confident. We're unsure. We're hazy about what we believe. We might know the general ideas, but we don't know the details, much less how to express them well. For instance, we might know that the church doesn't recognize same-sex marriage. In fact, almost everybody knows the church's position on that, whether you're Catholic or not. But when it comes up in conversation, we're not sure we can explain why the church's view is right, at least in a persuasive, charitable, clear-headed way. But again, as we learned, lack of confidence is just a symptom. The real problem is a lack of clarity. Remember, clarity breeds confidence. If we're not clear about what we believe and why, then we will never have confidence. In the end, it all comes back to clarity. And again, I want to underline that fact. It's the most important point in this video. Why are we worried about upsetting friends? Because we don't think we can express our faith in a clear way to them, in a way that makes sense. Why are we worried about the pressure from the confused culture around us? Because we aren't clear how to respond. And why are we not as confident as we wish we could be? Because we lack clarity. That's the key. Once you have clarity about your faith, you won't be terrified. That's why the most confident Catholic is not the one with the biggest brain or the one who has memorized the most facts or the one who is the smoothest speaker. The most confident Catholic is the one who is tremendously clear about what they believe. They're clear about their own beliefs, they're clear about the objections to those beliefs, and they're clear how to respond. So, those are the three big things that are likely holding you back from your faith. The three things keeping you from discussing it confidently and freely. But the big question I know you're probably wondering is, well, what am I supposed to do about it? What am I supposed to do instead? How should I respond when my faith is under pressure? And how do I overcome those three barriers? Well, That's what I'm going to show you in video number 2 in this series. In the next video, we're going to first learn what not to do when discussing your faith. Most people make these mistakes, and these mistakes are why they feel so ill-equipped and so unsure about themselves whenever their faith comes up in conversation. But then I'm going to introduce you to 4 proven strategies that will work again and again to discuss your faith in any situation. I use these tactics almost every day. In fact, they're my personal secrets to being a confident Christian. So stay tuned for that in video number 2. I really think you're gonna love it. But before we get to that video, I want you to do something today. I want you to scroll down beneath this video and leave a comment right below it. I want you to tell me what's the main reason you're nervous about discussing your faith. Why do you clam up whenever the discussion turns toward God or towards hot button issues? I'd also love to know, what would your life be like? How would it be different if you were no longer afraid? Imagine if you had that sort of confidence that you felt equipped to talk about anything with anyone. What would that be like for you? Just tell us what that would be like in the comments below, because even writing this out and envisioning it will help you move closer to it as a reality. So leave your comments below. I'm going to read every single one of them, and I'm going to respond to as many of them as you can. And if you found this video useful, please share it on Facebook or Twitter, even by sending a friend the URL to this page, which you can find right at the top. Now, I know that some of you want to dig in right now. You're not excited about waiting a few days till video number 2. You're super eager for help. So to give you some great tips to hold you over until video number 2, I put together a special free PDF for you with the 5 best books on the 5 biggest objections that Catholics face. These are the 5 most prominent challenges that the culture will throw at your faith, including atheism, science, same-sex marriage, abortion, and Protestantism. And I've got the best Catholic book for you on each of those topics. So after you leave your comment, and make sure you leave your comment, just click the button on this page to download your free PDF, and that'll get you going a little bit until video 2 arrives. Either way, you're already at a really good point right now, because identifying why you're scared to talk about your faith is the first step to becoming more confident. So we're making progress. We're moving in the right direction, and I want you to be excited about that. Next up, in video number 2, we're going to get some solutions by following 4 proven tactics so that you can experience real confidence and real clarity. Remember, clarity breeds confidence. It all comes back to clarity. I can't wait to see you in the next video. Look for that in a few days, and we'll see you again soon.